Hey, what's up guys? We're just gonna jump right into it. We've been looking more into some Celtic stuff. Celtic researches. Depends on what it is. Etymology, cosmology, loosely we're gonna use the word religion. Their gods, druids, you know, shit like that. Now, one of the main things that's popping out to me is Nuada. It's this god of theirs who resembles Tyr of the Scandinavian gods way back in the day. Nuada. I think the name is something to do with hunter and fisher. And the ancestors within his lineage, if you would say that, have names that resemble deer. Deer lover and little deer. Right? And also, he and his ancestors are connected to the wild hunt. And what do we hunt? Right? So this weird conversation is going to be built around deer, okay? Believe this if you will, or don't believe it if you don't want it all. I don't give a fuck. Here's what I'm bringing all this shit in and bringing it here. I'm going to retell that dream I had, okay? It's been many months since it's happened. Things are a lot more clear and I can tell you exactly what's going on. Some months ago, I was approached in a dream by this stag. It was very evil to me. It was like fixated. Its eyes never left mine. I appeared in this realm, this dream realm, and I couldn't quite make sense of where it was, why I was here. I don't know. I couldn't tell you where it was. It was just a dream realm. But out ahead was this stag. And those, I don't know types of deer, but it's the kind of deer that looks like it has an angry face. It's got like a bigger chin. It doesn't look like the white-tailed deer that look like dumbasses. This one looks like it had menace, and it had these great horns and stuff. It was, for whatever reason, it wanted me. I don't know why. I was with this other guy in this dream. I don't know who he was, but I knew in the dream, and this is gonna sound fucking insane, okay? But I knew in the dream that this guy here was someone else having a dream too. Like he was dreaming in real life somewhere fucking else. I don't know who he was. We were together though. And we were trying to get away from this deer guy. We were just like, oh man, we gotta get away from him. This is freaky. No matter where we went, the deer would slowly walk and follow us. His head never moved, his eyes never moved. He just kept staring at us. Very menacingly. Like he wanted to kill us. But he did not run at us. He walked slowly. In fact, he walked on his hind legs. Like a fucking human being. It was terrifying. Because I'm like, oh man, he's got those giant fucking antlers. He's gonna maul me to death. Somehow, me and this guy got what appeared to be a vehicle between us and this evil stag, I'm gonna call him. But it didn't matter because the stag was like, oh, I'll just walk around this way. And I was like, oh, then we'll go this way. Somehow in that weird little cartoonish, like, I'm on this side, you're on that side, ha ha ha, moment, the guy that was with me fucked off and he went away. And I knew, I didn't say at the time, there wasn't a voice that told me, but you just fucking know in these dreams. He failed the test. I knew that, I knew that 100% fact. He's gone, he fucked off, he probably woke up. I had to stay there with this, and then we did that little shimmy thing for a little while. And what I think is very interesting here is there was a vehicle between us. I think there's symbology there that's deeper than you will ever understand and I'll ever understand. Though I might have a glimpse of it, and we'll get back to it. Now, I don't know how this happened, but when I'm having these dreams, when I'm having any sort of dream that's like fucking with me, or I know that this is more a prophetic dream, this, you know, this is not just your average, that's crazy, huh? This is like one of those dreams where something is communicating with you. I knew that. So inside the dream, I find a safe place, and this is what gets interesting. The safe place for me is always my childhood home. In a dream, when something's getting too real, too freaky, too something, my mind says, let's go home. Let's go home. And no matter where I've lived in my life, and I've lived in many homes, it's always my childhood home. Always. I've lived away from it longer than I have in it, but for some reason in my brain, like, that's home. And I get to this trailer, and I go up to up the steps to the porch, and the porch was pretty large. Our porch was about the size of a room almost. It was a large porch, and there was lattice around it, and I felt safe on it. But just like always, just like fucking always, and I wrote this in my story because it happens to Eris too, I can never get in the house. I run up to my home, I'm on my porch, but I can never get inside. The door will never open. It always happens this way. I've done this hundreds of times. I return home when it's getting too much, but I can't go in the house. Now, where I lived in the trailer park, there were tiny yards, man. They were probably like 12 feet wide and about as long as a trailer. Just tiny little yards because you live in a trailer park. I knew he was coming. I knew he knew where I was at. I vanished to that place and he came with me. He knew where I was going. He was hunting me, okay? I knew he was hunting me. And this is why that hunting, the wild hunt, the stag, this is why it's all coming to me, right? I knew I had to face him. I had no other choice. I can't go in my house. I can't get up. I can't wake up. We gotta fight him. And I did not want to fight him, but I had to fight him. So on the porch, there was, I believe I found a knife. And this knife has great significance in the stories going forward with Eris, because I've tied all this shit in with the book. This is all going to happen. But I can't tell you what kind of knife it was. It almost felt like it might have been like a hunting knife, like you flip it out to cut open the animal and tear its guts out and shit. It felt like that, but I didn't like investigate it. In dream realms, if you're not physically looking at it, it can be anything. It could have been a serpent in my hand as far as I fucking knew. So I went down the steps, and as I did, I was transported to another realm. And in this realm, it was what appeared to be a wide open plain. Gentle sloping hills as far as the eye could see. But I was stepped out, and as I stepped out to this place, I was surrounded by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in a massive circle. Giant fucking circle. All standing on the ground, cheering, screaming, applauding, ranting and raving. They were going to watch a show, and they knew it. And I was in the center of it, looking around like, oh fuck. Out ahead was the shapeshifter. At this point, I knew he was a shapeshifter because he shapeshifted into the form of a man. And all I could tell you was it looked like maybe his goatee or beard was of darker hair, maybe black, maybe dark brown, and darker hair. And he was the fucking shapeshifting stag that was after me. And I knew we had to fight. And I came up to the guy, and then we started kind of tussling with each other a bit. In that tussling, I managed to, I had that knife, I snuck it in like a pocket, or I hid it on my body somewhere. And as I pulled it out, he grabs my fucking wrist like this, and like, I'm telling you, a long time, like, this was one of those moments where, for way too long, was I fighting not to get stabbed. It was one of those things where I was trying to stop his hand from stabbing me. And it wasn't like, that was like 3 seconds long. And then this, no, it was a long time. Could have been 5 to 10 minutes of sitting here not getting stabbed. And it was terrifying. I was like, I don't want to fucking die. I don't want to get stabbed. I don't want to get stabbed. And I was fighting with all of my power to not fucking die here. Somehow I managed to get my arm from him in some way, shape, or form. Pulled away from him. Instead of meeting him with aggression the way he was meeting me. And I was trying to keep him from stabbing me. I pulled it back to take away from his aggression. And I swung around and I stabbed him in the side of the neck with the knife. And I just remember, pull as hard as you can. He needs to be gone. We got to end this. And so I took the knife and I just pulled across his neck as hard as I could and kept it as deep as I could until I knew that was mortal. There's no way he's going to survive that. And then he vanished, people around me vanished, and I was sucked out and pulled away. And as I was coming away from the realm, I felt myself coming to reality, down into the dream world and into reality. And this was what was interesting. As I was coming back to reality from the dream realm, there was no words, there was no sound, there was nothing. It was empty, it was dark, it was quiet. But there was a feeling. And to me, I know exactly what that was. Something high. Something that we could say is godlike, or a conveyor-like, or some kind of being that's higher than me, was very pleased at what he just witnessed. Very pleased, like, good, yes. And then I woke up. Now that dream has been, I wouldn't say haunting me, but it has been on my mind like crazy. And I'm like sitting here trying to piece this together. Now there are 2 to 3 elements inside of that dream, because you've got to break it down. What are the main things that are important about that dream? Okay. 1, the vehicle, the first thing. What did I tell you how vehicles work when it comes to transcending realms? That's the thing that which takes you. Okay? I don't know if that vehicle took me to this realm first. My mind told me it was a car, but that's what your mind's doing. I don't know, it's a vehicle. It's like, okay, well, since you don't know this is a vehicle too, why don't I just say it's a car? That'll help you. It was one of those things. I knew that this was a vessel that could take me. And I wanted to get in it. I wanted to be a part of this vehicle, but I could not. The stag would not allow me to enter this vehicle. So we had to dance around the vehicle. So that's an interesting thing. 2, he was fixated on me, incredibly. The other guy that was with me that I knew was another person dreaming the same dream with me. I just knew it. I'm not saying that is exactly what happened, but it felt so strong that that's what it was. He fucked off, and the deer stag didn't give a shit. He's like, whatever, fuck him. I'm not after him, apparently. He's too weak. And I have to preface this by saying, me as a human being, I am not a fighter. I've never been in a fight. I'm not an aggressive person. That's just not in my character. I'm not one of those people that looks for a fight or gets angry at people and yells and swings my fucking fist like a monkey. Like, that's just not who I am. I'm a calm... If anything, I gotta fuck with you, I'm gonna do manipulative shit. I'm gonna get other people to do it for me. Like, that's just who I've always been. So, that's why that was interesting, that, oh, you chose me of all people? I'm not who you think I could be. And that echoes Eris's story. That's Eris. I'm not a fighter, what are you talking about? I've never punched a person in my life. Okay? Now, another thing that's really important about this dream. Returning home. When in doubt, return home. So in the dream realm, when you're having dreams and shit's just going beyond what you could comprehend, it's getting too intense, you're scared, you might die, anything of that nature, I always return home. And for me, it's always my fucking trailer that I lived in when I was a little kid, from when I was born to the age of 13, I think, is when we had to move out because it collapsed. So, all this, I return home. But I can never, ever get inside. As hard as I try, as much as I yank on the fucking door, as much as I try to kick it in, it will not open for me. And I know it, and it's futile. But I always try. That was the decision time to say, I'm going to fight him. And so I did. And I went out and met him. And I brought with me a weapon. But the weapon was of no use to me until I surrendered. Not to him. Not yielding. Like, oh, I give up. Surrendered to something greater. I can't tell you what that means because I'm still trying to figure this out. But I surrendered in a sense. I almost think what happened was I accepted that I'm going to fucking die. I can die. And this might be it. It wasn't necessarily giving up. It was just like, how long can I sit here and fight this being? his strength seems to just be unmatched. I'm a mortal human. I only have so much energy until my body says, okay, we can't anymore. After the endorphins are gone, that's it. So I knew this kind of stuff in the dream, in real time. It wasn't a sit down and thinky like, I think that's what's happening. It's just instinctive. It happens in the moment. But I surrendered to it. And in doing that, I was able to overcome this foe and kill him. And as I did, I was transported away and into reality once again, but there was a being that was pleased. Now I'm getting back to the Celtic stuff. I don't know the connection to these deities. I don't know who that shapeshifter was. Was he Cernunnos? Was it Nuada? Was it Finn McCool? Was it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know enough about Celtic deities and heroes and myths to say, oh, this is so closely connected to this, this, and that. But I know in my bones that it is. Maybe not exactly Celtic, but Indo-European at the very least. My fucking ancestry. There was something that was testing me, that didn't think I had what it took. It was trying to intimidate me, and I overcame it. And even I was shocked, and the being that was happy watching was pleasantly surprised, but mostly pleased. That's where I'm kind of like, this isn't, I was telling my wife, but I tell a lot of people about this dream, this isn't your average, like, isn't that a crazy dream? Because it doesn't, I know what a crazy dream is, where it doesn't seem to have much significance. It's just very interesting. I don't really have many of those. Most of the time, dreams have either meaning or they don't. So, like, meaning, okay, let me word it like this. My general sense with dreams is they're interpretations of self, where it's like your body, your mind, your soul's trying to tell you something, you gotta figure it out, which is mostly what they are. And then there's these ones that are something from outside of you is accosting you in this realm. Because those are the ones you can't really wake up from. When I'm having a bad dream and it's just of my mind, I just wake myself up. I'm like, I'm up. I don't need this right now. And I'll wake up and just be done with the fucking dream. I couldn't in this one. It wouldn't let me. So that's how I knew I couldn't run. Now, connecting it back to this shit here. Now, I know it was a hunting knife, but I felt more significance with this weapon. And it says here, so in Celtic cosmology, Gorias is the realm of fire and warmth that represents heat and energy. And it's the origin of the sword of light, of Nuada, his sword. It's part of the heavenly realm associated with bright heavenly bodies such as the sun, moon, and stars. So like the firmament in a sense. As well as the lightning and thunderbolts. Now, Nuada suggests a pun on two words, Celt, hunter and fisher. He is a celestial divinity of the first function similar to Norse Tyr, Vedic Mitra, and then Roman Dies Fidius. His sword symbolizes his power as the chief and warlord, but he is also a divine judge of law. When Stren of the Firbolg blemished him, and he can no longer serve as a king of the Tuatha De Danann, he lets Luke take his place as war leader and becomes Luke's advisor or druid. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Nuada had a silver arm because it was cut off by the Firbolg guy in the Irish, the taking of the conquest, the taking of Ireland. I don't remember what it's called. Lebor Ganon or something. So I don't think it was him because I didn't notice a silver arm. I only noticed a shape-shifting deer. I don't know how Cernunnos is connected to this, but all I know is this being that I fought conveyed back to a master. It could be Nuada, could be Cernunnos, could be Finn McCool. I don't fucking know how he works. Is he just a demigod? I don't know that stuff. I'm thinking it's something to do with one of those two. And I think that weapon I used, though my mind told me it was a knife, because I've never held a sword in my life, and in the dream realm I'm noticing if I haven't done it, held it, seen it, tasted it, whatever, then I'm not gonna, my mind doesn't imagine it farther than that. If I've never held a sword in my life, my mind's like, well, you're not holding a sword in the dream then. You're holding what you've ever held, which is a hunting knife. The flip out kind. I've never, you know what I mean? So it's like, it had a sense of that, and it was interesting that it was a hunting knife. It didn't choose a kitchen knife. Didn't choose a butcher's knife. Interesting. It chose a hunting knife. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but you use it to gut the deer. It's got the little hook on the thing. So the sword of light, and that's a sword of power. And I found it, much like in book 2, Eris finds the sword of power, and he has to use it, and this is where the connection clicked. Remember I told you I was kind of stuck on the ending there? I was like, yeah, you know, I kind of know what's going to happen, but I sketched it out. I didn't go into it. Well, now I know how to fucking figure it out because of the realization I had of reading about Nuada. I was like, I know what Eris has to do now, and I'm not going to ruin it, I won't tell you. But it's in the same way that I fought. And as far as I can see, as far as I can tell, I have two beings that I have to dwell upon. Now, this is the part I didn't really go into too much, but it was the following day. I was still feeling very, in my waking life, I felt a little bit strange about that dream still. I was like, man, it was fucking with me, right? So I laid in bed before I went to sleep, and I just asked. I felt a presence, and I said, what is your name? And I was answered with Sennaew. Cennaew. Sennaew. Not Cernunnos, but Sennaew. And I said, who the fuck is this? Is that his true name that's been forgotten? I don't fucking know. But that was the one that was answered to me. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, the being that confronted me is Sennaew. Or at least the one that, either the one I fought or the one that that watched me fight. I don't know. But it's one of them. And ever since then, I've been quietly watching him from afar. I know he's around, but I've not interacted with him, and I've just been, because I've told other people about this dream, and everyone's got their opinion, like, well, it's demonic, that's this, that's that, you know, everyone's got an opinion what it is, right? And it's always like, oh geez, everyone thinks it's a demon. It doesn't feel like a demon. But then again, that's everyone's only ever been taught that that's what exists. If something's doing that to you, oh, that's demonic. Well, not really. Most human history wouldn't have thought that. Like, before the Christian Jewish shit, like, it would have been seen differently. So that's when I started trusting myself, and I said, I don't think this is anything evil. I don't feel evil from him. I feel fear in the same fucking way that God at least asked the Jews to fear him. You wouldn't, if a Jew said, like, yeah, I fear God, you wouldn't be like, yeah, because he's probably an evil entity. I like how we don't do it there, but we do it somewhere else because the word's a little bit different. That's how I knew. I'm like, this is a higher being. That's what that is. That is not no fucking demon, because I don't feel plagued. My life hasn't gone worse. In fact, it's gotten better since that. So, and not better as in material shit, where I made a bargain, you know, like, I didn't do any goddamn thing. I just lived my life. I'm not communicating and asking for shit to beings I don't know who they are. I'm just living my life. So there's a lot of questions, and that's, sadly, that's kind of what this video is going to have to be, is questions raised, because, you know, I have a few answers that I can put to the book, but I can't tell you about them necessarily, because then what's the point of fucking writing a book at that point? It's rather interesting, isn't it? Now, I've had a couple dreams of that nature. I told you about the female one that felt like it was Virgin Mary. I don't think it was Virgin Mary, but it was a being that was as powerful as her. This sacred feminine is what it was, and that's what happened later, and that's why I'm fucked up with this. Because one minute I have this very masculine God dream, and then a little bit later I have this very feminine, sacred feminine dream, and I was like, wow, it's so interesting how it's the duality. That is what fights inside of us. And that's how I knew the sacred vessel. And that's how I knew that God works within us. He is within us at all times, and we are a part of Him. Doesn't mean you're a goddamn God in this realm. It's like a Gnostic belief. It's like an Orthodox belief that God's within you, so you're a part of Him. I'm not saying these two things are battling it out, but they're both helping me. And they're both guiding me going forward. And all I'm going to do is chronicle as much as I can of my personal journaling, but also of my book work. I'm going to take everything I'm getting, and I'm putting it right into the book, man. Wrapping it into a little bit of a story, and then when people read it, then maybe they'll figure it out for me, and they'll see, like, oh, this is what was going on, that was what was happening. But yeah, man, it's crazy, you know? And you definitely feel the divine. You definitely feel like you're goddamn chosen. And I feel like I have been. I feel like there are beings that have chosen me since I was young and are looking out for me and trying to aid me in this endeavor of life. And they want me to do something. Because there are certain realizations that I've come to that help me realize I think I have the fucking answer of how to get people out of the shit they're in. I think I know how to do it now. And it sounds crazy, but it's through me. Not through me like Christ, necessarily, unless that's what He meant too, but I just mean the answer was given to me and placed in here, and I'm like, oh, it's through me that I can give it out. And I feel that now, and it's all making sense to me. I'm like, that's it. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So we have to do this. We've got no other choice. It's going to be a long journey. And it's going to be fraught with people telling me I'm full of shit. But whatever. That's what it is. I mean, that's just how people work. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on that and tell you, hey man, like, I might be a bit of a nutter, but I know this is real. And that's all I can really say about it, is that I know it's real. Oh, I don't know, man. Anyway, let's, I guess we'll get to the day. We'll see what comes from it. But anyway, yeah, until next time, we'll see what comes from all this stuff, you know, these realizations. I'm going to kind of work on, with the laptop here, I'm going to do some stream of consciousness thinking about connecting this to the story, and meanwhile I have to start working on the Forgotten series again, so we'll give updates when we have them.